Okay.
Thank
So
you.
good evening, Tewksbury. It is Thursday, March 18th, 2021. Time is 6:00 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting of the Tewksbury Board of Health to order. First, I'll mention before we have the public hearing as well, we do have a public hearing tonight, and in this virtual meeting world, we can't have people physically sit at town hall. So there is a dial-in number. So if any Tewksbury resident that is a butter to 11 Emily Road would like to call in at the time we have the public hearing, the number for that is 781-565-8134, and I'll announce that number again before the start of the actual public hearing. So before we get started tonight, I'd like to do our usual verbal roll call of board members and health department members that are present. So I'll start off. So Chair Ray Barry is here. Maria?
Maria Zaroulis, clerk, is here.
Dr. Bichetti?
Tony Bichetti is here.
Mr. Rue?
Mr. Rue is here.
Okay, and I don't believe that Vice Chair Robert Scarano is on yet. Okay, so there are 4 of us here so far. So first item on the agenda tonight is approval of minutes from our meeting back on February 18th, 2021. Maria Zaroulis and I have both had chance to review and make any necessary edits to the minutes. So any members have any questions or comments or changes they would like to make on the meeting minutes?
No questions, no comments.
Okay.
I'm okay with it.
I'm clear here, Ray.
Okay. Ms. Zaroulis?
I have no other questions or comments on them.
Okay. So hearing none, would like to entertain someone to make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as submitted.
Okay. Who'd like to second the motion?
I will second the motion.
Okay. So motion's been put forth and second to approve the minutes of the February 18th, 2021 Board of Health meeting as submitted. We'll take a verbal roll call. So yay or nay. Maria Zaroulis?
Yay.
Dr. Bichetti?
Yay.
Mr. Rue?
Yay.
Chair votes aye as well, so motion carries unanimously 4-0. Moving on to old business. We'll keep this on as a standing agenda item until we will no longer need to worry about COVID, but in the meantime, it's good for residents to hear a COVID-19 update from our town nurse. So Irvi, I'll turn the microphone over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Overall numbers are looking better. We've had a little bit of it over the last week or so, but overall the numbers are looking better. In terms of vaccine, we've had 2 clinics in town. The first one was back through the services of Smith Valley Senior Center, Barry. Did approximately 333 people, out of which 96 were Tewksbury residents. We also had another clinic yesterday where we vaccinated approximately 125 to 130 people. We are waiting to hear back from the state in terms of the homebound residents. The town has our homebound vaccine. We're waiting to hear back from the state in terms of what lines are, or even a timeline, and we will have that kind of update on that. If you have any questions.
We lost you for part of that, Irvi.
Oh, okay. Great. So I don't know how much you heard. I guess I can just read then. Sorry. On March 4th, we had vaccination clinic through the center, through elder, where three some
Or your connection's coming in pretty
so
choppy.
today we had another, all right. AirPods. Do you want to come back to me? Do you want to come back to me?
Yeah, why don't you do that? Why don't you disconnect with me and try connecting back in?
Okay, all right.
So I think that she was saying you can fill in, Shannon, is that there had been a clinic that had been run in town, sponsored by the Elder Affairs of Greater Merrimack Valley?
Elder Services of the
Elder
Merrimack
Services.
Valley. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that was a successful clinic, and we had good number of our remaining 75 plus old residents were able to, that had registered for that, had gotten vaccinated at that, so that was good news for us.
Should I try again? Is that better?
Oh,
Yeah,
much
it's
better.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Uh-oh.
So, here we go. Third time's the charm. So we had a COVID vaccine clinic on March 4th through Elder Services of Merrimack Valley. It was held at the Senior Center in Tewksbury. We vaccinated approximately 96 Tewksbury residents out of a total of 303 people that we vaccinated that day. Let's see. And then yesterday we had another vaccination clinic through housing, and we were able to vaccinate approximately 125 people. And we're still waiting to hear back from the state in terms of the homebound residents program. The town has opted to do our own homebound vaccinations. But like I said, we don't have a timeline as of yet, so we're just waiting to hear back from the state. No guidelines have been released and no timeline has been released, so we're in a holding pattern. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't have a question about the vaccination clinics. I do have a question about the vaccine, though. No one's been able to answer this.
I'll try.
Okay. Do we know how long the vaccine works for? Is this something that would have to occur every year, or will you need a booster in 6 months, or is it a one-time shot and you're good to go? I'm just curious. I don't.
So unfortunately, we don't have an answer to that yet. We're just going to have to it's a waiting game. We have to see how we
Yeah.
do. You know, in terms of a booster, I know that Moderna and Pfizer are potentially talking about a third shot to cover the variants of concern. And I think Johnson & Johnson has good coverage over, I know, at least 2 of the variants because they tested in South Africa. And England. So we don't know. We just have to wait and see kind of what happens, how this virus evolves, and you know, is it going to be like the flu where it mutates every year, and we're kind of just trying to guess and stay ahead of it, as in like the flu vaccine. We don't know yet.
Thank you.
I think one of the key challenges, logistical roadblocks, is if there is in fact a booster shot that needs to be given concurrent with the start of the flu season, then it becomes even more imperative that as many citizens get vaccinated now as possible, so you don't double stack that on top of people trying to get their booster.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's enough supply of booster available up front so we don't run into these phase 1A1, phase 1B1AC, and all these things, so everyone gets confused and we're back at square one and trying to get people to get their booster.
Yeah, so I don't believe that they would be kind of stacked on top of each other, because even currently we have to, when we do our screening questions the day of the vaccination, we screen to ensure that they have not received a vaccine, any sort of a vaccine in the last 2 weeks. So that just makes it even more complicated because now you have to do potentially 2 visits instead of, or, 2 appointments instead of 1, because one would be for the flu shot and one would be for the COVID shot. You can't get them together.
So fall may be interesting. And I think the other thing that we had talked about with town manager early today was about sports season coming up and just make people aware that even though people now are getting fully vaccinated, and I think from numbers you were sharing, Shannon, that we're seeing good numbers for residents that have been both received the single or the first dose of the vaccine or have received both doses or the Johnson & Johnson. To reiterate that even if you've been fully vaccinated, you still need to be wearing your mask, and that'll be probably going at least into the fall. And it's going to be imperative that as people get out and enjoy the warmer weather, which we encourage, that we still have to be mindful that we still need to make sure that people wear masks.
I agree with that, Ray, and I feel like people don't talk about that enough. The vaccine stops us from actually getting sick, but it doesn't stop us from transmitting to somebody. So if we are carrying the virus in our respiratory tract, we may not be sick, but we can potentially transmit to somebody that could be more vulnerable and potentially be very sick from the virus, even if we're vaccinated.
Right. So getting the COVID vaccine is really no different than the flu vaccine, that it's not going to guarantee you're immune from getting COVID again, but you won't get the full bore effect, but you can still transmit just like you do if you get the flu shot. You can still transmit. You may get a mild case of it, but it's the transmissivity of it that we're very concerned about.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Irvi, and I appreciate all your efforts in helping keep the town protected and everything we've been doing to try to make sure we get the vulnerable populations vaccinated as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm happy to do it.
And
Thank
maybe
you,
someday
Irving.
you can actually start working 20 hours a week.
I'm not holding my breath right now.
Good, don't. Okay, moving on. New business. Jason Clement, applicant for a body art tattoo practitioner permit for operations at Lucid Arts Tattoo Studio, 361 Main Street. So welcome tonight, Jason.
Hello.
And this is just a mere formality. There's nothing that we have to do to vote to have your practitioner license approved. It's more just a chance for us to meet you, you to meet us, and just to realize that we're very serious about the body arts regulations and making sure that it's safe location for residents and non-residents to get tattoos, and just always helps to know that the board's watching out for residents as well as for the practitioners and establishment owners. So welcome tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it as well.
And let me just turn over to Director Sullivan for a second, because you have the application packet, and normally I would let your predecessor do this. So now that you're in the role, I'll let you introduce our applicant.
Jason came in with his application. He had pretty much all the information we needed. He came by later on with some pictures showing some of his work. He's been up in Salisbury for a couple years. We have those permits on file, and everything was approved. He had all of his information and meets the hours, and he did the Wallace course as well.
Okay. So Jason, I'll turn it over to you if there's anything you would like to give us a quick update on your background, and then I'm sure one of our members of the phone will ask you a couple of questions.
Sure. I was born and raised in Tewksbury, on the south side near Silver Lake, near Vernon Street, so Temple Street. I've worked pretty much all over New England professionally tattooing for the last 21 years. So I'm happy to be here helping my friend Nate as he's been taking on more and more clients, making a good name for himself in town. I want to help make that better. And can I say I have a 7-year-old son that's dependent on me, and he's with me every weekend, so won't be here on weekends, but I'm happy to be here full time, you know, providing you guys are happy with me. And I'm very clean, I want to add, and you know, I plan to continue that, and I've never had a problem or fined or anything like that in my 21 years. I tattoo my family, so I make sure everything's up to par with that in that regard. So
Okay, and in case Nate hasn't mentioned, we are in the process in one of these months, once you get past COVID, we'll actually finish or finalize updating our body art regulations, but the board's attempt all along is to try to improve the regulations so that the anyone that operates a body art establishment in town, it's sort of we're hoping to be sort of the gold standard for other communities, so that people look to us, and therefore the establishments in town as being a place way above high reputation, and knowing that it's a safe place to get the tattoo. And so we're trying to build regulations just to take care of all that.
sounds good. I hope to help with that in the future.
Well, good. And then Tony, do you have any questions for our applicant?
No, I want to welcome Jason. As I've said, I mean, Nate's was the second facility that we as a board had, you know, approved based on the caliber and the quality of the infection control and the protection of your services for the public health. And that's our biggest thing. I mean, there's just no compromises. You're doing invasive procedures on people, and you know, Nathan's had a great reputation so far, and we hope that you continue it. And that's basically all I really want to say. I mean, we want the best for the community of Tewksbury, for the people. And as Chairman Barry said, we'd like to try and be a model. As I've mentioned in other meetings, I've always been disappointed that the people involved in tattooing had never set up their own set of guidelines as other licensed things in the state. And hopefully you can be part of helping us develop regulations. I know Nathan's helped. I know people in the other facility we had, Route 38 Tattoo, have been helpful in helping us develop guidelines that are great for the public protection. And we look forward to having an opportunity to work with you when we have some couple more ad hoc meetings. I think we've got a pretty good handle on where we want to go. We spend a lot of time researching this, but new information comes up all the time, just as has happened with COVID-19, and things happen. So we welcome you aboard, and wish you the best of luck, and welcome back to Tewksbury.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, any other board members have any questions for Mr. Clement?
I just want to welcome you back to Tewksbury as well, and I look forward to seeing your work. Maybe there's a Facebook page or something. Check out your artwork.
There is Jason Clement on Facebook, and it shows me as I live in Mass. My son and I have a 2-bedroom apartment in Methuen, Mass.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on as Jason Clement, and on Instagram, JC JAYC tattoo, and you'll find a lot of hundreds of photos in my portfolio.
Cool.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. Let me know if you can't find me on there, and I can get you that info.
I'll find you.
I'm gonna be downloaded onto the website too, also at Lucid Arts.
At Lucid Arts.
Good.
Excellent. Great. Well, welcome.
Thank you again.
So I guess that's all we have for you, Jason. It's not a very hard thing to come before us. And again, it's just a quick meet and greet. So I think I speak for the board that we wish you the best of luck, and enjoy your time back here in Tewksbury.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you for coming tonight.
All right, indeed.
Okay. So
We're
coming
all set.
next. Yep, we're all set.
All right, have a great one.
You too. Okay, so now we're going to move on to a public hearing. So let me just mention that there is a dial-in number so that when we have the public portion of the public hearing open, and after the applicant's had her time, I will then open up the meeting to any callers who wish to speak either for or against the applicant's request. And that phone number is 781-565-8134. And for the other board members, we haven't done a public hearing in a while, so I'll have a motion for someone to open the public hearing. And then once we've opened the public hearing, then I'll make a motion to ask someone to make a motion to open the public portion of the public hearing. And then we'll have to close the public portion of the public hearing before we go into deliberation. And then once we conclude that, we then close the public hearing itself. So if someone would like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Okay. And who'd like to second the motion?
I will second the motion.
Okay. And I only mention the steps because at times I have forgotten to do all the pieces. So I want to make sure that if I sit out front, everyone remind me if I miss something. So motion's been put forth and seconded to open the public hearing tonight for Christina Sanchez, 11 Emily Road. Request for an animal permit from Tewksbury Board of Health Rules and Regulations, minimum standards for keeping of animals, section 5.3. So we'll do a verbal roll call vote. Answer yay or nay. So, Ms. Rulis,
Yay.
Dr. Bichetti,
Say yay.
Mr. Rue,
Yay, but I have a quick question for you, Mr. Chairman.
yes.
Is Pam attending tonight?
Yep, she's on the she's on the call.
Good enough. Okay, good enough. Thank you.
Okay.
Yay.
Okay. Yay for the vote or yay for Pam? I'll take it as one for
Yay,
each.
yay.
Okay. Chair votes aye as well, so motion carries unanimously 4-0. So before we open the public portion of the hearing, I'm just going to read off the legal notice that was pasted in the Tewksbury Crier. Notice is hereby given that the Tewksbury Board of Health will hold a public hearing on March 18th, 2021 at 6:00 p.m. Requested by Christina Sanchez, 11 Emily Road, for a permit as found in section 5.3 of the minimum standards for the keeping of animals. The hearing will be conducted via WebEx and will be available for viewing on the following cable public access channels: Verizon Channel 33 and Comcast Channel 99. The public will be able to participate by calling 978-771-0819. Channeled subject to change. At that time, all interested parties will be heard. Copies of the application available at the Tewksbury Board of Health office located at the Tewksbury Town Hall. Raymond Barry, Chairman, and that was posted on March 3rd, 2021. I read off one phone number. Again, the other phone number you can also dial into at the appropriate time is 781-565-8134. So, now we're going to open the public portion of the public hearing. So I'll entertain a motion for someone to open the public portion.
I'll open
I'll
the
make a
public portion of the public hearing. Oh, sorry, Maria.
That's okay. You
Go
do
ahead.
it.
Now let's switch it up. So
You
Tony,
do this.
okay.
You do it, Maria, and then I'll second it.
I will make a motion to open the public portion of the public hearing.
Very good. Who'd like to second that motion?
I will second that motion.
Okay. Motion's been put forth and second to open the public portion of the public hearing. All those in favor will signify by stating aye. Ms. Rulis,
Aye.
Dr. Bichetti,
Aye.
and Mr. Rue, and Pam is still on the call.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well, so the motion carries unanimously 4-0. Okay. So the public portion of the public hearing is open. So Director Sullivan, I will let you introduce the applicant, and then we'll have the applicant make her opening comments.
Okay. Do you want Pam to introduce?
Yeah, we can do that. And
Yeah.
Pam, if you just want to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Pam Thomas. I am the animal inspector for the Tewksbury Board of Health for 31, maybe 32 years. I've lost track. I first met Christina when she had put a registration in for backyard hens. And she was one of my more knowledgeable applicants. She had done her homework, really knew what she was talking about, took her time building her coop, put a lot of thought into the design, every aspect of it from beginning to finish. When I had gone up to her property a couple of times, was very well impressed with everything she had set up. She's a sustainable homesteader is what she wants to be. Her gardens are something out of a magazine. Her hens are extremely well cared for. And at that point, when I had first met her, we had discussed the fact that she would like to have ducks. And I said, well, we can't get them yet. Let's start with the hens. Let's see how you do. And come around in the spring and we'll take it in front of the board. And so here we are.
Okay, well, thank you for that intro. And before I have you say anything, Ms. Sanchez, you're also our model example, because we are now, you're our first applicant to request a permit for the keeping of animals under Tewksbury's updated keeping of animals regulation. So I guess hearing from Pam earlier today, this is a good example for us, because she said you're a model applicant, and thank you for being the first to try a new permit process. So, Ms. Sanchez, if you'd like to introduce yourself. It's like she's having connection issues. It's going to be one of these nights, I'm afraid.
He's probably muted.
No, I think she's trying to reconnect.
*6 if she tried *6. Oh, okay.
Who did?
*6 maybe.
Oh, she's coming in on a computer.
Okay.
Now?
Carol, you're every other word.
Am I?
So as we're waiting and talking with the town manager today, the state, therefore the town, is not able to start having committee hearings or meetings be open to the public. So for the hopefully short foreseeable future, we'll need to continue to rely on WebEx and the challenges that may possess with people and their internet connections at home. So just bear patience with us. Okay, so at least I'm seeing your video come in uninterrupted, Ms. Sanchez. So let's see how you are on the audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, great. So, sorry for the technology issues. So I had started by saying that I have been a resident for the town of Tewksbury now for about 15 months. I waited a long time. I'm 43 to purchase a home, single mother. And I was able to realize my dreams 15 months ago. And I have been a very proud resident. I have been greeted and overwhelmed by the town folk. I have incredible neighbors, and I think that, you know, my reasons for asking for the permit, it's been a long time dream of mine to be sustainable as possible.
We're starting to lose your audio.
I'll have a response. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
And don't worry, this is no
so-
and don't worry, this is no bearing in how the board's going to decide.
Okay. I just, you know, about the care of animals and homesteading and being sustainability that we all have, and the ducks is going to build in my very small world.
So we're starting to lose most of your audio again.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is, Jason, our tech whiz behind the scenes, is going to send you a phone number to dial in. And I understand for Pam, you have a nice multimedia presentation, but I think it's more important right now that we hear your audio. So if you get that info, we'll just have you dial in and join by phone. So at least we can get the audio portion. And then Pam, while we're waiting, as you had offered when we were talking earlier today, that you'd like to come before the board at some point this spring and sort of give an update on where the town is in terms of backyard chickens and so on. And this might be something if Ms. Sanchez is not able to get her
I was
video
explaining
going.
I was explaining to Ray, the little community of my backyard chicken people has been amazing. They are educated, they're engaged, they all like to talk about their chickens just as much as I do. They text me constantly, call me with questions, problems, silly questions they think, but I always tell them, they call me days, nights, weekends. I help them problem solve. We try out new things together. So I was thinking about putting a presentation together because some of the coops are literally fantastic. They are like, I thought I had the best chicken coop in town. I no longer have the best chicken coop in town. There are some that are much nicer. Oh, she's back, so I'll let her finish talking.
Hi, sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't know how much you heard, but what I was saying is that my reasons for wanting the permit for raising animals is I happen to be very passionate about the fact that, you know, I think everybody should know how to grow their own food. I think everybody should be connected, you know, with how food gets to the table. And part of that is being socially responsible for what we do to the environment. I am conscientious of the fact that you know, right now we live in a world where we take more than what we give back. I would like to leave this world better than better than what it is now, and having backyard animals might seem a strange way to do that, but it is a critical part of repairing the earth. They're a part of the entire circle of life. You know, ducks offer not only pest control, but they offer a lot of beneficial not just to humans, but to the entire ecosystem. The ducks that I am going to be hopefully raising are an extinct heritage breed that has been on the extinct list for a really, really long time. I don't plan on having more than the 4 that I'm applying for, so 1 male and 3 females. The male is there just purely for being a protector. I don't plan on breeding any additional ducks are, actually very easy animal to take care of. They require very little maintenance and very little to exist. In terms of like noise level and what that would look like, ducks are actually quieter than chickens. They don't make any excessive noise. I will have fencing around the area where they will be living to ensure it's not a nuisance to my neighbors. I've read every book, watched every video in terms of how to take care of them and, how to be a responsible duck owner. So I'm not sure if there's any other things that you guys want to ask me.
No, so thank you for that intro. And Pam had already filled me in on a lot of your background as well earlier today. So one thing I just want to mention up front, because you talked about the quantity of animals, and your permit application was for 6 ducks, 2 male and 4 female. What we had been doing under the old permit was asking the applicant if they envision increasing the size over the next couple of years. It's not a bad idea to put those numbers in now, because the number you put in doesn't mean you're required to have that number. It's just a not to exceed. So rather than because if you were to have the 4 and then decide you'd like to have 8, again, if the space can permit it, which I think it will, you'd have to then technically come before the board again, go through this whole entire process.
Okay.
So we just wanted to give you an opportunity that if you felt like this was going to take off you, and what number you might sort of see yourself at in a couple of years, just to save yourself from having come back before us.
Then I would put down 1 drake and then 5 ducks.
Okay, so we'll keep it at the 6 then. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be open to you about that, because we're trying to work in coordination with the applicants, because we're for this. We just want to make sure that not that we don't mind seeing people at our meetings, but we'd rather not have to go through the process again if you decide to have a slight increase. So you'll then be going ahead with the quantity that you've listed in the permit of 6 ducks in total. Okay. So I think really the key focus of our new animal or keeping of animals regulation was to put more of the onus back on the permitted or registered animal owner to make sure that they kept things as safe as possible for the animals and for the residents, and to follow generally accepted best practices. And with that, to be relying on Pam Thomas, our animal inspector extraordinaire, that can also serve as a coach for a lot of the permit holders, so that everyone is sort of, and she'll be able to share best practices that she herself employs, but also sees what other successful backyard animal owners are also employing in town. So we're just trying to up the game for everyone that's going into this. So as part of this, we made sure that it was far less restrictive, because the old regulations had all these setbacks and essentially like zoning requirements, which really didn't pertain to health at all. So we tried to streamline the regulation, and as I said, you'll be the first one going through the permitting process. So we're also looking to see how we might need to adjust this based on how this goes. But I looked at your application, and it's everything that we were asking for. So I appreciate the completeness of this. And I had not envisioned that we'd have someone go from having a registration to also having a registration and getting a permit. So you're the first one doing that. So there's an administrative side note. As long as you keep the chickens not to exceed the number that allowed under registration, that registration stays in perpetuity, and then you'd have the separate permit. So the two things will be separate and distinct. So the registration does not go by the wayside now that you have a permit. So there'll be 2 separate vehicles moving forward for you. Any board members have any questions?
I just have one question, Chairman. Registrations stay in perpetuity as long as there've been no violations in the interim by any of the registrants, correct?
Correct. And as long as they don't exceed the allowed animal quantity for chickens or rabbits under the registration part.
Correct. That's all. I just wanted clarification on that, just so that, I mean, yeah, when you say perpetuity, it's like, well, as long as if the guidelines are being followed, you know, we're good. We're good. Thank you.
Right. Or the other way of putting it is the registrant has the ability to keep the animals at the register for as long as they maintain the registration. And so if they fail to do something, it's on them. But I don't see that being an issue here.
No, I don't see it either. Thank you.
Mr. Rue, any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I have a couple of, as you know, I'm interested in this kind of thing. I've had hundreds of chickens and ducks myself over the years that Pam can attest to. But what exactly is the breed of duck?
It's the, I'm going to be getting the Ancona breed.
Are they flyers or are they
No.
or are they like the Muscovy? No? Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, they're not flyers. They're just a medium-sized bird, good egg layers, good moms, on the quieter side.
Yeah, I was going to say, because some of the ducks, you know, they don't make noise, but, you know, the Muscovies don't make any noise, but some of the ducks, you think that your neighbors are laughing at you if you don't know what the heck's beyond the fence. But, yeah, I'd be interested in coming to take a look at them. I had some Indian runners for a while and a bunch of Muscovies, but I'm going to look up that breed. I'm not familiar with it, but
Is this them, Christina?
I'm happy that.
They look like cookies and cream.
Cool. I'd like to come and take a look at them. I'm happy that you're interested in things like that in my town. I like that.
I have to agree with Charlie. I would love to come see once you have them set up and everything, your gardens especially. I found that just listening to you speak about it was very inspiring. So I love what you're doing. So
Thank you.
yeah.
So one of the things I had mentioned, Ms. Sanchez, just because I know Pam filled me in that you had a multimedia presentation for us to show us your gardens and everything else, and that we had some technical difficulties tonight, but as Ms. Thomas is coming before the board at one of our meetings this spring or early summer, I'll let her reach out to you, but you'd be more than welcome to join her if you wanted to co-educate us.
I would love
But
that.
I'll leave that up to Ms. Thomas because she's our main presenter. But if you'd like to have Ms. Sanchez join you, I'd be more than happy with that. And the other things I just want to go over again more because you're the trailblazer here. One of the things that we wanted to make sure is that applicants had some type of, or had 3 plans. Manure management, storage of feed, and pest management. And depending on the size of the operations, that would be either, as you did, just a text answer, or if it's a huge operations, it might be something more complex. So here, manure management, you just mentioned you'll be composting. If you just want to briefly explain to us how you plan on composting manure.
Sure. So ducks are and have a lot of manure. So what the process is, because of the fact that their bedding needs to get changed almost every day. I do have 2 compost bins set up in my backyard already because I am now composting my chicken manure. So that will just be a part of the process. So every morning when we clean out bedding and when we clean out the duck pen, it just goes directly into bin 1 for composting, because compost takes a certain amount of time to break down effectively. So that's the plan for compost. Also, fun fact, duck manure is actually something that you can apply directly to your garden right after it's been excreted. So part of that also will just be a part of my organic fertilizing for the fruits and vegetables that I grow in my backyard. I think you asked something else. It was manure. I forgot the other 2 points. I apologize.
Well, that's fine. No, you answered the first question. That was just your manure management. Storage of feed, we have had problems in other locations where feed was not necessarily properly stored, so it was an invitation for rodents to come on the property. So if you just briefly mention and educate us about how you plan to handle the storage of feed.
Sure. It's actually the same system that I have for my chickens. So I have individual metal airtight trash bins. So they're airtight and rodents can't eat through metal. Not that I know of. They're actually stored in my garage. And there's also a liner inside. So there's an additional process to keep the food fresh, but also just to keep anything away. I haven't had any signs or seen rodents at all. So it's been effective thus far. It's been a year.
Okay, that's a good segue into my last question, which is the third plan that we require, which is pest management. And just a brief background, one of the applicants several years ago, one of the abutters have been complaining about the sheer number of flies that were present around, I think Pam was near the manure pile or something. I forget the address, but
I'm not. It could have been the manure pile, but I'm not. I think we've resolved that with lime and a turn.
right. But it was more that just became sort of an issue that when abutters came forward, if they had any concerns, it tended to be about pest management. So that's why I just want to make sure that there was a plan there to address pest management. So if you could just explain how you are addressing pests, and if there are any, or if there were, what would your plan be?
Sure. So I don't currently have any pest issues. As far as flies is concerned, because it's going into a compost bin, I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with composting systems, but compost can heat up to higher than 160 degrees. So there is nothing that can live in compost other than worms. So flies typically are not an issue because of the amount of heat, and it's something that you're constantly turning. So there's really no place for exposure for the compost. And then as far as its location, I'm on an acre of land. I have a large backyard, and where I've placed my animals are all it just wouldn't provide any kind of opportunity for any of my neighbors to really be able to be impacted with something like flies. And as far as rodents are concerned, again, I've done a lot of research and done a lot over the years. And one of the things in order to avoid things like pests is really how neat and clean you keep your areas. So not having any debris, not having open trash barrels, not leaving any areas where animals can actually hide and nest under. So my compost bins, they have plywood underneath so that a rat or something else couldn't dig into to get into the compost bin. And the actual compost bins themselves, part of it is I do have a tarp over it to continue that heat up process so that it's not disrupted. So hopefully that answers your question.
Oh, most definitely. So I appreciate your very clear and thorough explanations of how you handle all three issues. So, any board members have any other questions for the applicant? Okay.
No, thank you.
I'm now going to turn it over to chance for public comment. So, Jason, has anyone dialed in wishing to speak either for or against the applicant?
No calls at the moment, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So hearing none, I'll look to have someone make a motion to close the public portion of the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public portion of the public hearing.
Okay. Who'd like to second that motion?
I will second the motion.
Okay. So motion's been put forth and second to close the public portion of the public hearing. We will take a audible roll call vote, either yay or nay. Ms. Cirulis?
Yay.
Dr. Bichetti?
Yay.
Mr. Rue?
Yay.
Chair votes aye as well, so motion carries. Nancy, 4-0. So the public portion of the public hearing is closed. Okay, so we will, at this point, Jason, we will not entertain any dial-in callers because we've closed the public portion. Now we'll move into deliberation phase. So this would be a chance for the board members to discuss amongst ourselves whether we feel the applicant has submitted enough information to convince us that we should approve the request for an animal permit or not to. So I will open up for comments. So I'll start.
May I speak? Oh, go ahead, Ray. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Tony.
Okay. As always, I'm always enthusiastic to hear that our agent, Pam Thomas, who is been a great agent and advocate and helps the public understand the care and public health concerns of all the farm animals and animals in general. So whenever Pam is enthusiastic about a applicant, I always am extremely thrilled to support that because Pam's very knowledgeable and she speaks highly of the situation that Ms. Sanchez is in. So that makes me feel very comfortable. And given the opportunity someday as well, I would like to visit the site because I believe that it helps us as a board understand. It's one thing to see things on a plan, but to actually see a well-run operation in its daily function, I believe it helps us as a board so that and it's a good model for others to see that may be interested in applying for registrations as well. And I would only hope that Ms. Sanchez, and I'm sure she would, I get that feeling, would be willing. Everyone needs a good mentor or trainer, and Ms. Sanchez has spoken very well on her rationale for why she's doing this. And it appears from, Pam Thomas that she's doing a very good job. I hate to hear your second, Pam, but, competition always helps. So if Ms. Sanchez, hopefully she'll be interested in helping others learn from her experience and maybe be a mentor to people, because I do believe it's good, as Mr. Root says, being part of our community, for people to learn a little bit more about what used to be daily practices and common practices. So I don't have anything else, but I just wanted to mention that.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Mr. Rue?
Mr. Chairman, I have confidence that Ms. Sanchez will handle the birds accordingly as Pam. I have a tremendous amount of faith in Pam. My only concern as a committee here is that we have a limit on the number of chickens, and we have X amount of chickens. Now we have ducks, and we have X amount of ducks. if we add emus, are we going to have X amount of emus? We have to be conscious of the fact, I know she has an acre of land there, and that's a good piece of property, but as a board, we need to be conscious of how many, as we add species, we're adding numbers, and when we add numbers, people run out of space quick, especially as, some of these animals are territorial in and of themselves. I know they're in cages and, coops and stuff, but I don't know, we ought to, we allow X amount of chickens, now we're going to allow X amount of ducks, then we're going to allow X amount of ostriches, then we'll allow extra, you know what I mean? We just got to, and I'm sure Pam will keep an eye on that. I just want to be cognizant of that. And again, I do have faith in Pam, and Ms. Sanchez seems to have her head about her with what she has in front of her. So I just wanted to make that comment.
Well, just to address one of your concerns, Mr. Rue, I was looking at the property in Google Maps, and unlike properties of prior applicants that come before us, Mr. Rue, that have had very small property parcels and neighbors right up against them, this is like the best scenario for the board to encounter because it's wide open property. There are neighbors, but there is a good distance between neighbors. So this is like an ideal property for this type of keeping of animals. But to your point too, that's why we have Ms. Thomas go out and do the annual inspections, not just because the state requires the barn book to be maintained, but it also gives Ms. Thomas an opportunity to go out and just check to see how the animal owners are doing. And if that's an opportunity too for the animal owner to ask Ms. Thomas if they have thoughts of increasing the size of what they currently have, or if they're looking at adding new animals, to get her thoughts about, is that even doable? So
yeah, I think I alluded to that. I did look at the property. It's a long, narrow acre, which has got plenty of room in it. I agree. And Emily Road has got plenty of, and the neighbors are setback. I just don't want to be setting precedents for somebody in a 10,000 square foot lot on Sullivan Parkway to come out and say, hey, she's got, chickens and ducks. I want chickens and ducks too, when they don't have the room. But again, that's what Pam's there for, and I agree with you.
Yeah, and to your point, and to your point, and I'll just make a quick comment, Dr. Machete. That's why the board treats each and every applicant as a separate and distinct case or instance or request. We realize that property lots vary size to size in town, as well as the geometric shape of them, and some are more suitable for having backyard animals and others aren't. And we were just lucky to have one that is a perfect property for keeping of animals. So go ahead, Dr. Machete.
I agree with everything Mr. Rue said, but as always, that's always implied on my end, but I wanted to confirm that because sometimes certain properties are not appropriate, and that can lend itself to other problems. So that's all I wanted to state.
Okay.
I would also have no problem telling somebody that, I'm sorry, this isn't appropriate, you can't do it. I have no problem saying no. It's only what's best for the animals.
Okay, and Ms. Aroulis.
No, I don't have any questions. Christina seems to be extremely knowledgeable in what she's doing. I would love to just learn from her and how she does it all. And I know, Pam looks confident that Christina knows how to handle all of this as well. So I don't have any questions for her right now, other than how do you do it?
So, hearing that, I'd like to close the. We'll take a vote and then we'll close the public hearing. So, sounds like everyone would be in agreement that we should approve the request for the permit for keeping of animals at 11 Emily Road. So would some of you willing to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
To-
someone, go ahead.
I will make a motion to approve the keeping of animals at 11 Emily Road.
Okay, someone like to second that motion?
I will second the motion.
Okay, so motion's been put forth and second to approve the request for permit for keeping of animals at 11 Emily Road. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. We'll do a verbal roll call. So Ms. Aroulis,
Aye.
Dr. Bichetti,
Aye.
Mr. Rue,
Aye.
chair votes aye as well. So motion carries unanimously 4-0. So Ms. Sanchez, you can just work with Director Sullivan and we'll get, I guess, department will get the permit issued to you, and best of luck.
Thank you so much, Pam. Thank you so much for all your help and support.
Anytime.
Honestly, and I'll speak on
Congratulations.
behalf of the board,
Good luck.
having someone as passionate as you as an applicant makes our job a heck of a lot easier.
Thank you.
So good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christina.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay,
Thank you.
so if someone would like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, someone like to second that motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. So motion's been put forth and second to close tonight's public hearing for Christina Sanchez at 11 Emily Road. All those in favor will signify by stating aye. We'll take a verbal roll call. So Ms. Aroulis,
Aye.
Dr. Bichetti,
Aye.
Mr. Rue,
Aye.
chair votes aye as well. So motion is unanimous. So that closes tonight's public hearing. Okay. Moving on, director reports. So Ms. Sullivan, I'll let you take over.
All right. So we got Lisa's Pizzas inspection that was done on February 17th. They only had one core violation, which was employees stored drinks in the kitchen in bottles, and they need to be in a cup with a lid. But everything else seems to be going good. The sanitizer is at proper temperature. There was soap and paper towels at the hand sink. Good personal hygiene. The fridges were organized and cleaned, so that's good. So it seems like things are going well there. I have not received another report for March as of today. But when I get that, I will send that over to the board. Does anyone have any questions about that?
I do not. It's always good to see things going the direction we'd like them to go. So I wish them luck and continued success in getting good food inspection reports.
Just another thing, the food establishment plan review. So our form was pretty old. It was like a 1-page, double-sided, didn't ask a lot of questions. And our new inspector, Michelle, had worked with larger applications in the past, and it's kind of like a walkthrough process, helps applicants fill out the information that we need to make the opening of a food establishment fairly simple, all the sign-offs that they need, the information that we're looking for when we come in, just the menu, stuff like that. So it's now 20 pages long, but it's very informative. And so we're going to implement using that now going forward with new establishments that come to town.
It looks very, very comprehensive.
It is. And then,
which is good, because that way you're not worried about, did you leave something out?
right, because it will answer all the questions that we need, which is helpful. Anyone else have anything on that? Nope. Then the last piece is the food consultant update. I had reached out currently to 2 companies. I heard only back from one about getting a consultant in to do inspection, so I'm waiting for a contract from them. Then I'm going to reach out to 2 more just so we have 3 to look at and then make a decision from them. So I'm still working on that currently and no decision has been made yet.
And then the other thing, when I had asked the town manager, when we had a meeting early today about the governor lifting more restrictions, and so I think it's going to phase 1 or phase 4, part 1 on Monday, and what that would mean for local restaurants. And town manager replied that there's already been a group spearheaded by Steve Sadwick that's working proactively with restaurants to help them get whatever permits or authorizations they need to get their outdoor dining open. So the town's doing whatever they can to help ensure that restaurants can continue to operate and operate now on an expanded basis and not be bogged down in paperwork and red tape.
Right.
Okay, anything else, Shannon, you wanted to bring up tonight?
I don't have anything else. Nope.
Okay. I will just make one little public service announcement. Just because I had a good friend last week on Monday experience numbness and tingling in his left arm and leg and didn't think anything about it. And Wednesday it happened again, and it resulted in him losing feeling in both his arm and his leg. And he was brought to Lee Hospital, and lo and behold, he had a stroke. And I just wanted everyone to be aware that it's important to recognize the symptoms and signs of a stroke. So if someone has a facial droop, you're asking them to smile and one side droops and the other side lifts up. If you have weakness in one side of your body or the other, both arm and leg. If you have slurred speech or trouble speaking, any of those, there's a good chance that it might be a stroke, and that needs to have someone call 911 right away, because it's essentially a heart attack of the brain, and the same treatment for a heart attack and priority that EMS addresses a heart attack is also the same for a stroke, and the same clot busting medication, TPA, needs to be administered within the first hour of onset of a heart attack or a stroke to have the greatest chance of busting up the clot and restoring full functionality. This person's at a rehab hospital now, having to learn to rewalk and reuse his arm. So I just mention it that we always think this happens out of folks that are much older than us, but people really should be very aware of if you experience any of these signs and symptoms of a stroke, or a friend or a coworker you're noticing is experiencing these, opt the side of caution, call 911, because that person may in fact be having a stroke. So that's my little public service announcement tonight.
Thank you, Ray.
So, Mr. Rose, any updates at all in Tewksbury Cares?
I have no updates for you since the last time. No,
Okay.
we are strictly virtual right now.
Well, I hope both that and the town meetings or committee meetings being virtual be something that we'll be able to ditch shortly and get back to in-person meetings. So can't wait for that. So, Mr. Rue, I think it's time for your motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we close tonight's meeting.
Okay. Someone like to second that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. So the motion's been put forth and second to adjourn tonight's meeting. I'll ask for a verbal roll call vote of yay or nay. So, Ms. Cerulis,
Yay.
Dr. Bichetti,
Yay.
Mr. Rue.
Yay.
Chair votes aye as well, so motion carries unanimously 4-0. It is 7:10 p.m. Good night, Tewksbury.